Alrighty then, welcome to Council Club. Today is October 21st. It was your birthday yesterday. Happy birthday. So just a refresher, Council Club, basically we're just gonna kind of breeze through what happened at last week. Not last week, I always say that, last Tuesday. It's this week. A couple days ago at City Council, just kind of a recap, and then we will look to what's happening this upcoming Tuesday, which will be the 26th. So the point is we're all learning together. We are by no means pros. We just are nerds who happen to look at this stuff regularly, and you all are too, which is awesome. And thanks for being here. So, okay, first of all, just going through briefly what happened on Tuesday. SROs are our friends. Basically, I think what Scott means is the council went out of their way to talk about how great school resource officers are and how they're mentors and role models and should be everywhere. And what I guess I didn't realize, so I was grateful to learn that it is reimbursed by the school districts. So these are cops in schools is what SROs are, school resource officers. I, like a jerk, stood up and took the opportunity to talk about how what Millard really needs is another library. Because we were just at the library meeting the night before. Monday night was one of the library feedback strategic planning meetings. And what we heard from a lot of folks and a lot of librarians and library staff was that the Millard Public Library, or Omaha Public Library located in Millard, services about 150,000 people, and it was built to serve about 70,000. So they've had this in the CIP and everything since like 2017. I want to say is what they said. Anyway, whatever. It
was really good. I just re-listened to your comment, and you were so out of order.
Yeah.
But you did it so quickly and so smoothly. They were just like, by the time you already were like, and bye, they were like, wait a second, you're out of order. You're like, it doesn't matter. Still said it. It was it was smooth. You said something like, the school resource that Millard really needs is another library. So you can use like their words.
I tried. Thank you.
Great.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
A lot of times we talk about ways to sneak in your own testimony when it is like sort of germane and maybe kind of applies to an item on the agenda, but also maybe is your own, whatever you want it to be.
And one of the things that did not get brought up that I almost wish we could respond after, because Palermo kept saying he knows of no reason that or nothing that SROs have ever done wrong, that they're angels amongst us. And I was just like, please read the ACLU Nebraska study that shows that the prison to pipeline starts with SROs or school to pipeline. And it starts with SROs, and it disproportionately affects minorities. And they did a specific one in Omaha, specific schools. Oh, that was just a couple of years ago too. I felt like,
when the ACLU has a whole study about, there's plenty of data that shows that they're not really great, but that doesn't really matter. Anyway, okay, so moving right along. A lot of the conversation was around the proposed youth center off of 50th and Grand in, kind of right behind the Ames Walmart. In a residential area, and there were a lot of neighbors there in opposition. There were also some folks from UNMC and Charles Drew, pediatricians and whatnot, that are actually there to support it, and they said this is going to be great. And it's really, unfortunately, like really sad statistics, like suicide attempts are up 51%, with all the stuff going on with COVID and whatnot. It's just been really rough. So there's a lot of back and forth, and Blair Freeman is the developer, and they were there and presented on the types of public engagement and neighborhood outreach that they have done. They have had 3 meetings, they've sent out postcards, they've tried to be available for questions, and they did actually make some amendments to their plan based on the neighborhood feedback, which is always nice to see, since there were a lot of concerns about, because it is a center for troubled youth, a lot of folks that have been system impacted specifically or have drug and alcohol abuse issues. So it's going to be a 24-hour care facility, emergency care, et cetera. And since the neighbors were concerned, they did decide, the developers and everyone decided that they would have extra security from 4 p.m. to 8 a.m. to kind of like help the neighbors feel like they were taking their concerns seriously. So I thought that was at least a good faith showing that they are listening and taking their feedback into consideration. So Scott's putting the link in about the ACLU stuff. So yeah, feel free to email Palermo and tell him that even though his What was his stepfather or father-in-law or somebody, Officer Martinez was an SRO and all the kids loved him. And yes, that might be true, but also like, that's not the case for everybody. So there's that.
And did you notice that now talking about what you're talking about, the youth center, did you notice that one person as a public commentator that literally said, not in my backyard? And I feel like she was kind of making fun of herself for like standing up at one of these things and saying, I know it's like, yeah, but she kind of like checked, was kind of ashamed to be a not in my backyard.
NIMBY.
Yeah,
Indeed. Yes, I did notice her saying that and kind of realizing she is that person that people know is not great. Anyway, it'll probably go through, but we'll see. There was, the public hearing was last week. This week, I think. Actually, I don't know.
yeah. I don't remember did it get voted on? I have to look.
Yeah, they did. They voted it through. So anyway, the other thing that was kind of funny is we talked a little bit last time about the Saratoga Beltline historical designation, and Brinker Harding wanted to talk about it, which I thought was weird because it wasn't in his district. Like it would have made more sense to me if Councillor Johnson would have been the one talking about it, waxing poetic about all of the good things that are happening there with Ernie Chambers' daughter, who happened to be in the audience. And so Brinker's talking about her, not even realizing that she's sitting there. So we all kind of like start waving our hands and like pointing at Senator Chambers' daughter to be like, hey, Gail's right there. So anyway, that was just kind of funny. And then the snowplow inspector situation, we talked a little bit about that last week, and it's $240,000, although there's another one getting added onto the agenda this week. So we'll see what happens there. But at this point, they're having a big conversation about whether or not it's worth it to pay a babysitter, according to Palermo, kept calling them babysitters, because these snowplow inspectors are just contractors to go out and check out the snowplowing jobs of other contractors. And Palermo read some job descriptions of, some public works maintenance foreman positions. And he's like, I'm reading these to you so that you can understand that we're already using our tax dollars to pay people to do this job. So why are we hiring additional contractors to babysit the other contractors when we should just be using city workers to get the job done? So it's kind of interesting. He and Fitzer went back and forth a little bit. Todd Fitzer's in Public Works. He's our city engineer. And yeah, it was just kind of interesting to have them go back and forth. And then Fitzer was like, for $240,000, we could get like one person in one truck. And then Palermo was like, well, that's not true. So they just like called each other liars. It was just kind of like weird. If you've been following this type of stuff for a while, you know that Palermo does have some beef with the Public Works Department. Just kind of interesting. I also took that opportunity to talk about sidewalks. I just had a lot of feelings last Tuesday that I wanted to share with council. So I did take that opportunity to say, I don't exactly know what these snowplow inspectors are going to be looking for, but if they could pay attention to the way that we block ADA ramps for sidewalks, we really need to get real about sidewalks and accessibility, and it's a huge issue. And I just wanted to bring that up, that while we are plowing, that's great, and car drivers are important, but also let's think about people that are walking, using wheelchairs, riding bikes, etc. And then they brought up the fact that Fitzer goes, someone from the audience brought up sidewalks. I'm like, dude, you know my name. But anyway, yes, someone from the audience did bring up sidewalks. And it turns out that the mayor's hotline got more requests to deal with, or more complaints, I guess, about sidewalks than they did about streets when it came to plowing issues the last couple of years. So this year, which I was so excited to hear Todd Fitzer say that Public Works and Parks are like tag teaming the sidewalk issues, because Public Works had a little bit of extra money, which it's so funny when they have money when they need it, but they have no extra money when someone asks for something like a protected bike lane. Anyway, they had the money for equipment within the Public Works Department, and they had the money for employees in the Parks Department. So they're going to team up Public Works's equipment and Parks's personnel to actually tackle sidewalk maintenance in a little bit better way. So I'm interested to see what happens. I actually, when we were doing our little commuter compare video for Mode Shift today, and we were hanging out at City Hall, I didn't corner Fitzer. He was walking by, and I was like, Todd Fitzer, I want to thank you for taking sidewalk maintenance seriously. And I invited him actually to come be a guest at one of our upcoming Mode Shift membership meetings to talk about what that's going to look like, because obviously we care a lot about sidewalks. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm interested to see how that goes. That was a lot of me talking about sidewalks, but what else do we have on here? Oh, Councillor Johnson was complaining about how when they go by with their snow trucks, it blocks in all the driveways. You know, people get up early and shovel out their driveways, and then a snow plow will come and just pile it all up in front of driveways. And there's really nothing that can be done about that.
So that was one of the few, I mean, most of, I would say 99% of the stuff at city council usually gets voted 7-0, 6-0 if someone's absent. So that was one of the few ones. The snow plow inspectors got voted, Palermo requested denial or recommended denial. Motion denial. And Johnson, Begley, and Palermo were the three that voted to deny. And then we were sitting in the audience. I saw Melton turn to Harding. They had like a pre-vote conversation. And it was, I don't know if they were coordinating, but it certainly was, it was noticeable. They talked about how they're, so anyways, West Omaha plus Pete. So Pete was the one sort of odd that voted to approve $250,000 to, I can't say it right, to inspect the plowed snow. It's not
the plow job.
Yeah, the plow job, not the plow itself, but they're literally going to be looking at snow and being like, nope, you did it wrong. And then actually, so yeah.
Palermo was so mad at Pete, and that was a move for him protecting himself.
I thought the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we're going to get another opportunity this coming up Tuesday. They forgot one contractor, and so they're adding another 60,000, bringing the total to $300,000 for inspecting the plow job, for looking at snow. Yep. $300,000. Can't wait.
Yes, good times. That was interesting to watch, because usually the Dems vote together and the Republicans vote together, but this time Pete hopped on the Republican bandwagon and voted to pay more money for things that we already supposedly pay folks to do. Yep. Okay, moving right along. Oh, we talked a lot last week about the demolition situation for 57 different properties across Omaha, and how most of them were in North Omaha, and how most of them have already been demolished. And it was really just kind of about the amount that folks had to pay once their property was demolished. And Councilor Johnson kind of spoke about it a little bit and just said how it was all fine and above board and basically nothing to see here. So that was about, do you want to say anything else about that?
No, well, yes, I do.
I thought you might.
It's sort of piggybacking on, I go back and forth between wanting to talk, but the reason that I've been making these maps is, is to focus on the areas of Omaha that have been disadvantaged. Is that
discriminated against?
Yeah, and specifically, and it all kind of clicked when I saw this article that the city of Lincoln is recognizing the planning department is using the redlining maps of the 1930s to make their plan for 2050. So they're acknowledging that redlining exists and that it affected people negatively. And so the city of Lincoln is trying to do something about it. And so piggybacking on when I made a couple of maps where it showed how Habitat for Humanity, there was 29 properties all being bought and sold for $1. And again, always in North Omaha. And so I'm working on a new map that takes the redlining map from 1934 that a lot of us have seen, where they had areas that were, it gave a letter grade, A, B, C, and D. And I keep feeling like Omaha needs to recognize that redlining happened, that it affected Omaha specifically, and to do something about it. Because what I'm not saying is that, Habitat is doing something wrong, or that these demolitions were wrong. I don't think they're wrong. I'm sure some of the houses should have come down. It's just when you see the price tag for basically $500,000 to District 2 residents that are in these redlined communities, it's like, it seems like the opposite of acknowledging it. It's just being like, oh, redlining didn't happen. These people already aren't disadvantaged. So anyways, that's my spiel.
We were looking at this redlining map earlier, even just today, with a missing middle call. But yeah, basically, if you haven't seen the redlining maps, you probably have, but there it is. So yeah, we actually, at the end of city council on Tuesday, Dave Fanslaw, who's the planning director, was walking out, and Scott actually was like, hey, Director Fanslaw, I just didn't know if you saw the article about how Lincoln's planning department is acknowledging the past and making specific intentional decisions about planning going forward based on their old redlining maps, and you should do the same thing. And he was like, oh, I kind of saw that, but I didn't read it. And so we're going to send it to him and be like, that would be a really probably cool thing of you to do, is get real about the situation, acknowledge it, address it, be intentional, and make things better. So
it's nuts. I see that it says remove Highway 75.
Yeah.
Highway 75 goes right through the worst part of the redlining map.
yeah,
Like,
they just demolished an entire
The
neighborhood.
crazy
on
thing
purpose.
is, on the redlining map from 1934, there was no Highway 75. And so I'm trying to map it. I'm just like, wait a second, where's this? Yeah, it doesn't match up to our current map. But man, Highway 75 is this big scar that runs right through the D. I forget the declining neighborhood they called it, or
Yeah, they straight up wouldn't give bank loans or housing loans to people in that area because that's where all the black and brown neighbors live. This city is racist, always has been, and apparently is not making really.
and also another reason I didn't want to. I'm still formulating these. I'm still learning about redlining and whatnot. But Preston Love Jr. was there. He had to sit through the entire city council meeting, and I'm like, I am not going to tell Preston Love Jr. about redlining or Senator Chambers' daughter about redlining. Like, I felt like this isn't my place. I didn't have anything prepared. But Preston Love Jr. was there to talk about the contractor
licensing fees.
Yeah.
And I didn't fully understand everything that was going on with that, but there was a lot of conversation about how some small and emerging businesses, don't really have the ability to pay the fees or something about licensing. He said that wasn't the whole issue, but it was part of it. And so there was a little bit of discussion about that as well. They were attempting to get it kind of laid over. It wasn't being voted on, I guess, right then and there anyway, but he was there. He kept standing up and sitting down. I was like, I know he has like a bad knee or something. I was like, is he stretching out? Like, oh, he's going to talk. Oh no, he's not. And he finally did, but it was about the licensing fees for contractors, but all right.
And another interesting thing, when we attend in person, you can see when they put the green light on, when the people want to talk, and Councilmember Johnson put a green light off and then took it off, or turn it on and turn it off.
Yeah.
That's something you don't get on the live stream. So
yeah,
details.
Just real exciting. Okie dokie. Does anybody have any questions or anything else that they noticed from last Tuesday? Otherwise, we're going to jump into next week's agenda. Not everyone all at once.
Larry wasn't there, but he's okay.
Yeah.
We think he might be getting
Good
sick.
old Larry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't miss him. Okie dokie. I think we should just look at October 26th. So usually the first part of the agenda involves planning board stuff. 8 through 10 is the Highlander East development. It's going to be more housing and mixed use. So there will be some storefronts and some commercial space, but mostly housing, which is good. So there will be, I think, how many? 52 residential units, anything from studio to 4-bedroom, which will be good. The other ones are like way out west. I gotta admit, I don't pay as much of attention. I was making fun of the names, Vistancia or something.
The woody one.
And then, but that first one is like 216th and Fort, way west and to the north. And then we've got Highlander, which is like 29th and Burdett, kind of where all the other Highlander developments are. And then North Streams, which is 204th and Q. So all of that, of course, is recommended approval. Woodsonia North Streams, I don't know, they're just making up words. I think it's kind of hilarious, but that is 202nd and I Street, 204th and Q, so west but south.
But the good news is that eventually they'll run out of green fields and they can't keep sprawl forever.
Exactly. As we talked about the last meeting, and I think we've even talked about at Council Club before, is that they can't annex outside of the county lines. So we're quickly approaching that. Thus the need for,
That's literally the limit.
Yeah, infill and density.
But that's where you feel like Omaha is not going to go outside Douglas County. I think it's state law.
I think so. I think that's where they said it. So yeah, anything could happen.
I feel like we're going to start rerouting the river, like push the push river into Council Bluffs 100 feet.
Good times. Anyway, there was a denial recommended by the planning department. Item number 17 is a rezoning request. There's a guy in South Omaha on South 15th, again in Palermo's district, who wants to rezone from R4 to R5 and just put a duplex. But again, we were just having, I keep referencing missing middle because we were just on that meeting a moment ago. But the guy makes a good case for wanting to have, it's just a duplex, but the lot size is not right. I just for fun, I'll share the screen here with the application here. Well, this is actually the planning department's kind of no, you cannot situation. So it's a 5,200 square foot plot, and I guess it needs to be 6,000 square feet. So unfortunately, you can't even put a duplex on just 800 feet shy of their minimum. So they're saying don't do it. Yeah, Brian, what do you think? You're our missing middle guy here.
So when I noticed this a couple of weeks ago, the immediate thing was, why didn't they just tell him that he should get an ADU? Well, obviously he wants to add a living quarters to his house, probably rent it out to a family member, or doesn't matter.
ADU meaning accessory dwelling unit, for those of you that don't know. Keep going.
So, I mean, we have room for improvement, which is a nice way of saying that our current zoning code doesn't allow for simple conversion of your own space. If he thinks that he can fit it on his land and it looks reasonable, he's not adding too much more building. He's just adding a porch. It's not new structure. Why don't we have ADU codes to cover this kind of thing? We don't have to get into R5 zoning for duplex to accommodate a single house on existing land. So
we also just found out that, yeah, it hasn't been updated in 30 years.
The zoning.
Well, yeah, the master plan. So we're way past due for looking at some amendments and
Would that be a
updating.
city charter thing, or that be, when does?
The city council can make amendments to that. Yeah, I mean, at the charter they could, but they could do it. I think it doesn't have to be a charter thing. I think they could just do it.
And if they were to do, if they're like in the chat, if they were to build it without approval, fines, or would they make them tear it down?
I don't know. Do you know, Brian? What the
I haven't gotten into the legal aspects of a lot of this stuff yet.
Yeah, interesting.
I mean, just as an example, you built your your patio got built at the old bike shop without a permit,
Yeah.
without going in front of the city council for whatever, and you kind of got lucky because you know the person.
I got a retroactive permit. The guy who I knew, who lives like 2 blocks from the shop, he's like, someone just came and built you a free deck. If anybody else would have told me that, I would have called their bluff, but that probably actually did happen to you, didn't it? I was like, yeah, weird, strange, but true. He's like, how about we just do like a retroactive permit? It's like $15. I was like, that's great. My nice $15 deck. So I don't know.
And that just goes to show that if you can let things like that slip, then maybe the rules are too strict.
Totally. Yeah.
And these things should be permissible in the first place.
Right.
But I bet you something like not like a porch, but an ADU or a duplex. I don't know if you're saying it was just for a porch. I think it's
Well, the reason for the porch was to add a side exterior entrance.
okay. But man, actually not changing the structure itself.
No, I haven't seen the blueprints of the interior design, but comparing the 1394 square foot to the existing Douglas County assessors, it doesn't look like there's any new housing. Maybe it's just a conversion of the basement,
Ugh.
because it doesn't actually spell that out in here.
But
Here's the submitted drawing.
I feel like this reminds me, just thinking about what happens if they did it without permission. I feel like, remember back in when Jerem and Ben Gray were on the council, and there was someone that bought a house that they thought they bought a duplex, but then when they actually got in the house, they found out it had never been zoned for a duplex. And so they were trying, I don't remember, I don't think they got any fines. I just feel like, I think they're grandfathered in, or
Well,
it's
so
complicated.
Yeah.
Confusing.
I was in New York a few weeks ago, and there was the remnants of Hurricane Ida came across the entire Northeast. And 50 people died. A lot of those people died in basements with gates over the windows, illegally converted apartments where proper egress was not considered. So rather than making these things more difficult, we should help people find ways to make them more accessible to the rules and conforming to safety standards.
Yes. Okay, good. I'm looking at the chat, and Mark's got to go soon and wants to talk about 68 first. So I think that sounds like a fine idea. Tell us what you want to talk about, Mark.
Did anybody read there's a 104-page attachment? Did anybody happen to read that?
No, I did not.
Did you read the 104-page attachment?
I completely glossed over. I'm like, nope, not reading that.
No, I skimmed over it in the last half an hour. And yeah, everybody needs to read it. Very important. It's too much. It's too much for me to explain because I don't entirely understand it, and I've had too many beers already.
Yeah.
But it's an agreement for it's the library stuff is already a done deal, and there's agreements for like a new library, a golf course, police precinct, fire precinct. And so this money was not just for the libraries; it was for a whole package of stuff. It's the Knowles golf course, new police precinct and fire precinct and library, which I believe are going to go in that other lot that is not where the current library is, but that other one that is that is not part of the mall. That's what it seems like to me right now. But there's a whole bunch of it. Yeah.
Interesting. My understanding about what this is all of so like that stuff that's like in the CIP. And so the way that they get some of the money for the projects that they put in the CIP is through these bonds, right? And so is that what this is just laying out, is like all of these different types of—
I don't know. Check it out, because there's a corporation that the city is it's a new corporation. Hold on. Wait.
Interesting. I love when there's like, here's a bazillion page attachment. Have fun pouring through all of that. And you know that all the city councilors don't look line by line at all this shit. It's just like they just vote it up and then it goes through and somebody recommended they approve it. And so then that is what will happen. I hope I'm wrong. I hope there's conversation about it at least. Oh, here's this Knowles stuff. The Knowles golf course.
So
it's sale. The Omaha Public Facilities Corporation. Is that what
yeah,
you're
exactly.
talking about? Okay. Huh.
You can't even search it. It's all,
yeah, this is a
pixelated.
terrible, yeah.
I can convert it, but
Would be nice if the documents were searchable. Computer equipment, helicopter outfitting. Okay, yeah, this is a lot of stuff that we've already seen come up. So I'm wondering if this is just the back end of how they're financing all of it, and it's bond sales of money that they've already committed. Is that what it?
I have no.
Okay. Public Facilities Corporation. Yeah, okay. I will dig into this a little bit more and just see. But it looks to me, at least anyway, that like some of these big
library project.
Yeah, library project, golf project, baseball project, police and fire project, new money project. Yeah, there's a lot. Yes, I will copy and paste this, what I'm looking at here, so that everybody can click into it.
I mean, it does say library project, but I thought we were at the discussion with the public phase. So how exactly are we having a library project that the city hasn't even fully discussed?
Rumors, Brian, rumors.
That was the other thing at the freaking library deal on Monday, is the library board of trustees chair or whatever was there, and someone was like, oh, something about the rumors that the mayor brought up, and then my question was, oh, I'm sorry, wasn't there an open records request that proved that those aren't rumors and proved that there were actually emails? And she was like, yeah, I don't really know what's going on. It's like, okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure we all know that she's gaslighting the entire city with this library bullshit. Anywho, all right, well, this is a very fat document that we will have
Well,
to.
let's see. I'm just gonna read this, then I have to go real quick, but
Yeah.
whereas, so this is in the recital, whereas corporation as lessor has entered into a lease purchase agreement dated as December 1st, 2021, the agreement, to the original city of Omaha as lessee, under which corporation, sorry, on behalf of the city is renovating, revitalizing, and improving on which is known as the Riverton Revitalization Project, the New Money Project, certain real estate and related improvements comprising library facilities, namely the Milton R. Abrams Branch Library, a city-owned public library facility, aka the Library Project, certain real, the Knowles Course, a city-owned public. So these are city-owned things that a new corporation, whatever's going on, this is not normal.
Interesting. Well,
All right.
for sheet 61 talks about TD Okay. Yeah, Ameritrade.
And there's a BOKD Corporation, whatever the heck that is.
BOK. What page are you looking at, Mark?
I don't know. I was all over the place.
All over the place. Yeah. No, this is. I mean, this is a fat attachment. Okay. Yeah, I think I will look into it more from my, at least again, and I don't know. So I encourage all of you to dig into it, and then we can communicate about what the heck it is. Because there is a public hearing coming up. It doesn't look like there's actually a vote. It's just consent agenda, right? What is the second reading? But it doesn't say that it's going to be voted on today, does it? Let me scroll down. No. Okay, so public hearing. So yeah, dig into it. But it looks like, yeah, corporation for the sale of certain equipment to the corporation, bill of sale. Yeah, it does seem kind of strange, and it's $70 million. So yeah,
well, that's already what they put in. That's the money they already put in. That's what they did, because now all the other property is $10 a year is what it's being. We're charging. It's $10 a year. Other than that, and all this equipment is wrapped up. We buy the equipment, and it's bizarre.
Weird. Yeah, no, I over my head, but I will read through it. This actually brings me to a point that I wanted to bring up. I almost did last week because I had talked to Spencer about it, who shows up sometimes. Would anyone have interest if we started a Slack workspace, a council club Slack team, so that we could kind of all talk more regularly throughout the week? Would anyone have any interest? I'm not doing another Facebook page or anything like that. You don't have to decide right now, but there is some talk of potentially coming up with a communication platform that we could all access throughout the week, so that if we ever did do something like this where, we wanted to dig in further to an item, we could kind of talk throughout the week offline. Does anyone have any interest in that? We can talk about it later, but just throwing it out there. But thanks for your interest and digging into that, Mark. I appreciate it. And yeah, we will. Are you going to be at City Hall on Tuesday to talk about it?
No, I gotta close up some stuff with the garden. I don't know, likely not, but
Is number 68 on the consent agenda? So are they going to listen?
68 is on second reading, so it's all their own public hearing, item by item. So we'll see if anybody else stands up and says anything about it. But yeah, that's interesting. We'll all.
I'm going camping at Indian Cave all week, so I don't have time to do anything, so I'm not going to be prepared. Yeah, that's what I told you. Really do something with this because it's wrong.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, that awesome. This is why this is a good group, because everybody brings different eyeballs and perspectives to the table. So thanks for pointing that out. We'll see what we can try to extrapolate.
Have fun camping.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye. Bye. Wow. Yeah. Okay. That'll be interesting to try to figure out what the heck is going on with that. All right. We
need some lawyers in this group.
That's true. That would be exciting to kind of digest some of that, because that's a lot of pages, a lot of money. Oh man, it'd be weird if it wouldn't be weird. It would be typical if it was just some stuff that they're just trying to push through and hope that nobody really actually reads it. Interesting. Okay, well, we'll come back to that. Maybe we won't. But for right now, we're gonna go on to We already talked about the rezoning request that has a denial from the planning department. That's 17. There's a lot of liquor license applications. So Scott noticed on numbers 20, 22, and 24, rule number 7 gets brought up because you have to be, is it 300 feet from a park or 500 feet from a park?
I think 5.
Anyway, these 3, one's close to Candlewood Park within 200 feet, one is 90 feet to Kingswood East Park, and then another is 81 feet to the Jean Leahy Mall. So it'll just be interesting. They'll probably still approve them because Omaha likes to drink, but it'll be interesting to see if that rule number 7 that's being violated as far as proximity to a public park is talked about at all. All righty then. Oh, okay. 36 is 300 grand for Wavetronics radar vehicle detection sensors. I would like to know if they are sensitive enough to pick up people on bikes, or if it's just when they say vehicle, what type of vehicles are they actually?
And in-ground.
Yeah.
In-ground.
I think they're those little pucks that if you drive over, they tell the light to change. So I don't know. We'll see. They probably won't care about bikes, but I might bring it up.
Bob, that Mark left. The next one I wanted to talk to him about. But yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic. Number 37 is $24,000 for buying plastic bags to put our Omaha grow in to resell. So it's just like, you want to do something environmentally good, and then you buy a bunch of 40,000, I think. Yeah, 40,000 plastic bags.
And so when you go to the store to buy, is it compost?
Yeah.
Yeah, when you go to the store to buy compost, it'll be in the Omaha grow bag. Yeah, I was like, come on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like we should find a more sustainable option to put in our recycled compost. Anyway, okay. Along the lines of environmental, thought, they're actually buying an electric vehicle. Item number 38 is a request for $29,000 to buy an electric car for the parking division. So when they are handing out tickets, they're going to be driving an electric car. I would like to recommend they buy electric bikes because you could buy a lot of them for that amount and they would do the job too. Probably won't, but someone should. Okay. 42, back to sidewalk snow removal. This time, I don't know exactly what they're talking about. They've got $133,000 total for across the city. They have it divided into 4 quadrants: northwest, northeast, southeast, southwest. Different chunks of money for each quadrant for sidewalk snow removal. But the city doesn't actually remove snow from the sidewalks most times. So I don't know if this is one of those cases where, like, if they get complaints where it's been X amount of days and someone still hasn't maintained their own sidewalks, this is when they send out their own folks to go clear them or what. So does anyone really know what that's about?
I thought it was pave 911. I
Yeah.
thought it was specifically last time was just for shoveling in front of the police. I actually did not click on I didn't click on the attachments, but
The attachments don't tell you anything. I
Okay.
did, and it's basically just like, here's how much it is per hour, and X amount of inches of snow. It's more expensive, but I don't know. I mean, part of something that MoChip just talked about is trying to lobby the city to get them to take over maintenance and snow removal of all city, excuse me, all sidewalks, residential and wherever. So I don't know if this is just in front of like city
Complaints, I think
buildings or if it involves complaints or what, but just
it's interesting that if it was for complaints, we're already paying the money up front as opposed to what they'll actually have to go out and do,
right.
or potentially have
And
to do.
it's it'll be just an estimate. Usually what they do is they request for a cap. They'll say up to this amount is what they're requesting, so it might not be the full amount. But I just thought it was nice that we're paying to remove snow on some sidewalks, but I don't really know where and why. All right, moving right along. Oh, number 46 is not quite $2 million for a change order, which is it's 43% increase. So that's like a significant jump. So I don't know why they didn't realize before that they needed panel repair. It's on 120th Street between Center and L. So I don't really know why all of a sudden they need a change order for almost $2 million, but it seemed like kind of a weird oversight that they didn't know how much they would be needing in the first place. Anyway, again, just nitpicky. What else? Okay, 48. I only got to 46 because I jumped off a different meeting right before this. Do you want to talk about landscape.
So 48, item number 48 is 61,000 for landscaping services at the Omaha parking garages, 8 Omaha parking garages. And we recently met someone that is doing marketing for the Omaha parking division. Like they have a marketing department and now we have a landscaping. Like, do we already have a landscape in parks? I guess parking department. Yeah, so they want to make their parking garages look nice. 61,000 for that. And then number 49 is 60,000 more for more snow plow inspectors. That's bringing, now we have, last week they voted on 4, or it barely passed. I doubt this one will even be taken off the agenda.
Yeah, because
It would suck to bring, it would suck to deny 1 out of the 5, only because people are pissed. I don't know.
It'll sail through, I'm sure.
yeah.
Or maybe Palermo will use it as another opportunity to just like yell at Fitzer. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll pass.
50 was yours.
Oh yeah, because I remember specifically with the in the CIP, the money that Festerson was hoping to use for making the Harney Street lane permanent came from the retaining wall fund. And so I was like, oh, here we are doing some stuff with retaining walls. So almost $100,000 along North 30th Street, coming to Franklin to repair 15 different retaining walls. So just thought that that's where a bike lane is, in retaining walls, but you know, that's fine. Also, number 51 is signal upgrades across the city for 100 different signals. The total project is just over $3.5 million. Only 20% of it has to come from the city. It's state and federal money. Again, I have complaints about some of the signals. I would really like them to put the Dodge Street signal at University Drive right when you're coming out of Memorial Park actually facing where the people go instead of facing east. Like the crosswalk is to the west of that post, but they have the button on the wrong side. I'm sure I won't bring it up, but I'd like to.
Right. That is one thing I noticed when I was living downtown. I used to walk in all directions, not just driving down one-way streets.
Yeah.
But when you're walking in all directions, you'll notice that a lot of the signs face drivers only.
Yep. Totally.
Street signs, stop signs, lights even, so you know when to cross the road. They only face the driver's direction and not all 4 directions where pedestrians might be crossing the street.
Mm-hmm. Yep, as per usual, good old car-centric Omaha town. So I don't know what they're going to be doing, if they're actually going to be doing, I don't know specifically what the upgrade part of it is. I was kind of thinking that it involved, you know, how the mayor sort of recently said that when a pedestrian hits a button at 90th and Dodge, they ruin everything. And so they're talking about doing some signalization upgrades so that all the lights flow, so that it keeps, of course, vehicular car traffic moving fast to kill people. She didn't say that part, but that's what fast cars do. So I don't know if this is part of what that involves or not, but that's what item 51 is. 57 is $35,000 for the removal of damaged street trees from the July windstorm.
They call it the right of way, that little strip between the sidewalk. Well, I guess it could even be, now we know with the Verizon pole,
Yeah.
10 feet typically, or 15 feet from the street. Yeah. But they call them street trees. Street trees.
Yeah.
I imagine a
trees are
tree
good.
in the street.
Oh, I
Yeah.
wish that would be even better. That would slow traffic at streets.
But they're
trees are
acknowledging the
streets.
July 2021 storm, which is the one where Stother was at the golf course.
Mhm.
This is not the August one. But it made me look up Vinnie's tree service. So Vinnie Palermo has a tree service. I kind of feel like he almost should recuse himself. Anything tree related? I don't know. I guess he's
not going to be he's not voting on a contract with Vinnie's tree service. Then he would obviously have to recuse himself. But
oh, and so we actually found out. We found out Vinnie's last name. I wrote it down somewhere. Oh,
yeah,
right
it's
there.
right here.
Zaraki. He changed his name. We found his high school yearbook. He went
That's
to.
the other thing we should have told Mark before he left.
Oh,
We
I
were
told
talking
him
about
already.
this
I already
last week.
told
You
him.
did okay.
Yeah.
We were talking about this last week. How Vinnie Palermo changed his name for. We don't know why. Did you
So
find out why?
I think he has relatives with the last name Zaraki. So he might have gone from his father's to his mother's last name, or
Interesting.
yeah, I want to ask him, or be like
Why did you change your name?
Yeah, I don't want. I guess it would be nice to call him Fartenberry. That's why I also. So we're now moving on to non-city council stuff. So yeah, we found out Vinnie's last name. Fartenberry's not going to go to jail. but he got indicted.
Lying to the feds. We'll
And
see.
we went to one library meeting, and so the planning director was there, but no Festerson. And that was the
Yeah.
one in his district.
Yep.
So he should have been there.
Yep.
Um,
But Brinker Harding was at one out when they had it in his neck of the woods, and Palermo was at one, and I think Johnson was at the one this last time at Washington, but Festerson skipped, which is unfortunate because it's kind of sad to be at these library meetings because they're like, yeah, we just need to email the city council and they're the ones that can fix it. And like, good luck. Like the city council, we ask them every year at the budget meetings to like fund the libraries, fund all these other things. Don't just continually give the police all of the money because the rest of the community is suffering. And they always say, no, we can't do it. We're just going to just push on through the mayor's budget. She's already got it figured out. So it's just kind of sad. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Once again, you know, there was that open records request that was made that did highlight a lot of weird backroom dealings with Heritage Services and the mayor. And I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that. I mean, when you have code names for shit, that can't be like good.
Project Ducati.
Yeah, and Light Bright. I just feel like if it's all on the up and up and above board and transparent and whatnot, you don't need code words. You actually should have public input and participation. And that's definitely not what we've been seeing with this. So we will see. They actually had a board meeting tonight, which was open to the public. I was on a different meeting. So many meetings today. There's a bunch more tonight too. I think, yeah, anyway. But we'll see. We will continue to follow that.
And nothing in front of city council or Douglas County. So
no, but anytime anyone does see something, I mean, obviously maybe you'll be on this group, but we will always call out when we have opportunities to talk about library funding, because any chance we get, we do need to tell the city council that whatever they can do, they need to fund the damn libraries and make sure that they are public. And yeah, it's a transparent, open process, not backroom dealings with the 10 rich old white men in Omaha that run everything, because that's kind of what it's looking like at this point. Okay, the last thing on our list, and then we're actually pretty much on time, right about at the hour. Nice work, everyone. I got a call from some salesperson at the Omaha World Herald the other day they were asking me to renew my subscription, which I canceled a long time ago for a lot of reasons. And I did ask the person if they still have 73 Husker reporters and no one at City Hall still. And they were like, what? And I said, never mind, you're the messenger. No, I don't want to renew. And then like the next day, Jessica Wade announces that she's transitioning to City Hall to cover the City Hall beat. So that'll be good. The more eyeballs at City Hall, the better. So we've got, Anton writes for the Reader and I think sometimes for Noise now. I am just recapping what we talk about here for Noise. There's usually KETV or some other, there's usually some news cameras in there, but it looks like the World Herald has decided once again that it is important to cover. So that was some good news. Anybody else have anything they want to share? All right, then I'm going to hit stop on the recording and then we can talk about anything else we want to talk about before we go eat dinner. Thanks for coming, everybody.